Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody, Militia Man and Crew. I want to say hello, and I hope everybody's having a great day. This afternoon, this evening, I'm just going to jump into it. Look, they've had the conferences. They had the Baghdad conference, the development conference. But you can call them lots of different names. I think they said they had 4 or 5. We've been over that. But one of them that we mentioned was that media needs to be involved. And they did that. They started talking yesterday, and I believe even today. They didn't really give a time frame of what they were going to do, but ultimately we see that they came out with information yesterday, and then they came out with information today. And quality data is really important. It really is. And I think that's what they were doing, was grooming the media and the professionals to understand what level of where Iraq is, okay? And they need to have that support. And that support is being shown in the media because of that positive tone that we've been seeing. So what Iraq's going to go through is going to be a massive event, and it's obvious that they're transitioning from, let's call it a paper society to a digital society. And that means cash for one, and then, or digital payments, that's 2, right? So, but keep that in mind. That's very important that there's acceptance with the public. And a revaluation comes into play. And you'll see that tonight. And I'll give you an example. It says here the Iraqi media network represents the voice of Iraq and its national front. This gentleman, Nassif, he goes on and stresses that Iraq has an importance. It represents their national front. Okay, that's basically what he's getting at. The Iraqi media network's embrace the Arab Media Conference reflects a paradigm shift in the media discourse, and sends strong messages at the security and economic and tourism and other fields, noting that the media plays a pivotal role in conveying the image of the Iraqi people and their ambitions in the development of reality in the country. Reality in the country. Remember I talked about the last video, was it the fascination of the investors had of how well built and how things have changed in Iraq? The media is presenting that image, and it's probably because it's true. And so that's why they're focusing in on the media and saying, look, you guys, all you elites, all of you professionals, take it seriously, because this is the direction that the country is going. But anyway, he goes on and says, these messages constitute attractors for the countries of the region and the world, and show Iraq as a fertile and attractive environment for foreign investments. It says the Iraqi media network represents the voice of the government and the people, and through it, it can deliver positive and influential messages that confirm that Iraq is moving at a confident pace towards stability and prosperity. That's the kind of language that you want to see and you want to hear, that they're having prosperity. But the Iraqi citizens, they need the prosperity. So here's another article that I found to be interesting, and this came from yesterday. It says the decline of the dollar, the interest of the citizen in enhancing the purchasing power of the dinar. You can find it in patreon.com with Militia Man and Crew, our Discord chat room. It's key information. Not everybody gets this or has the ability to bring it together like we do, I believe, with Militia Man and Crew, to give content that is supported in data. Now, granted, we have to weed out the good, the bad, and the ugly. Do we always get it right? Not always, but we do the best that we can. It says the exchange rates of the US dollar against the dinar continue to fluctuate in the state of instability in the local market at a time when the owners of banking companies and shops see it as normal as a result of the stability witnessed by the country in all respects. It says the result of the reform steps implemented by the government to eliminate smuggling and currency speculation in the markets. That's the black market. It is what it is. It says stabilization of the situation. It goes on and says the exchange rate cannot be called the decline in the dollar, but the most correct is the rise in the value of the Iraqi dinar against other currencies. He goes on and says, and perhaps this decline in the price of the dollar is the result of the stability of the political and security and the social conditions in the country, and without doubt, all of this positively affects the exchange rate. He goes on and notes that the prices of the exchange are now stable and the fluctuation is simple. And this is in itself a welcome advantage for the stability of the exchange rates, and in return, it is reflected on the prices of commodities and goods in the markets and trade. So as we see it, it is a positive phenomenon in Iraq. That's the media, and that's what they're talking about. It goes on and says, well, there's a portion of it that says fear of swinging, whatever they mean by swinging, fear of change maybe, but it says, for his part, the specialist in legal affairs, his name is Amer Mahdi, he points out that we are today in a decrease in the demand of the dollar in the exchange markets and the commercial movement, which generated a state of fear among the citizens on the one hand. The price of the dollar is falling on the other hand. Gold prices are constantly rising, which led to creating a state of confusion among the citizens. So the media is going to be used for, tamping that down. Then it goes on and says, on the other hand, and this gentleman by the name of Maliki al-Masri, he says that the stability in the country, whether political, security, social, or economic, it's important for the country and eliminates speculation and manipulation of all its forms. And this rise in the price of the dinar against the dollar is a great service and benefit for the country and the citizen. It says the government steps in reform in this field have cut away the smugglers and corrupt people in smuggling currencies abroad, and as a result, all these reforms were reflected in the simple citizen with limited income. So they're basically saying the smugglers and the illegal operation was harming citizens, especially the lower income side. So it goes on. He says, calling on those concerned from the Ministry of Finance and the central bank to continue their steps to further stabilize the market, movement, and exchange rates. So here we are. They're talking about keep doing what you're doing, Ministry of Finance, keep doing what you're doing, central bank, because why? It's strengthening the value of the currency. That's what they're saying. It goes on and says, government agencies pointed out earlier that sustainability of the improvement of the dinar exchange rate against the dollar depended on two main factors, namely the ability of the central bank to use its foreign reserves with its defense tools. I've talked about that. Central bank's going to defend their currency. And they're going to keep doing that along with other countries in the world. And probably the largest stakeholders in the world are going to make sure that they keep a stable dinar price in the future. Okay, so it says that the success of the central bank in reducing the gap between the official and parallel price. Powerful stuff. In my view, though, this is some of the things that I was thinking about was that, look, the finance ministry, the central bank have been using tools to narrow the exchange rates between the parallel market and the official exchange rate. And it has been working, and the citizens may have had some confusion. They sure have. But at the end of the day, the government and the central bank's efforts are working. Look, smuggling and currency speculators are feeling the pinch from what they've been doing. Reforms and mechanisms that the government and the central bank have put in place are being effective. The view is that the exchange rate that the citizens are witnessing is appreciation of the dinar as opposed to the decline of the dollar and other currencies. Stability in the political and security and social conditions are driving the change, and it is positively affecting the dinar. It is said to be the case by the media, and without a doubt, they say. Prices of the exchange rate are showing now to be stable, noted by the price of the commodities and goods in the markets. And is that a good thing? Of course it's a good thing. The dollar demand is decreasing in the marketplace. That includes commercial markets. So in other words, the commercial markets, trade, they're going to be using something different. It says, while gold is rising, which apparently at the start brought confusion to the street, that confusion has been countered by the stability, the political, and the security and social and economic fronts. I mean, that's how I read it. What's taking place is an elimination of currency and speculation and manipulation. It says these effects are, and Well, they're directly related to the rise of the dinar against the dollar, which benefits the citizens. So those folks that are using cash, they're getting a boost and they're feeling it, they're seeing it, so they're gaining trust. That's how I see it. Lower income people were primarily targeted by the abusers. This affected those that affected now see the results. So thus far, they've the government, the central bank, continue with those tools or mechanisms, if you will, to even further the stabilization and efforts that they've been using to make an adjustment to market movements and on what? Exchange rates. The use of Iraq's reserves was a key to attain what's taking place. They said the other day that they've used about 11 trillion dinar to do that. It's a lot of money. Or was it 11 billion? Nah, 11 trillion. But you can go back to the article and you guys can figure that out. But just forgive me. But they're being successful on all fronts, and I would expect the news from the government and the central bank put out to two qualified and credible media outlets on the back of today's media conference to keep people informed. So it was thought to be just yesterday, but we turned out that today there's been more. And so the media is clearly been engaged to convey a message. And that message is, I think, quite clear that Iraq is ready to go international. In this article, it says, in the heart of the digital battle, it's about Iraqi cybersecurity is on the front lines and preparing for AI attacks. Well, remember just the other day we talked about that they have new legislation that's in the Gazette talking about smart contracts. They're talking about digital signatures and all that. I highly recommend everybody look up what smart contracts are. It's simple. You can just do a quick search. Smart contracts, what does that mean? Ask Siri. You'll figure it out. I'm not going to get into that because it's not necessary because it's a simple search. Okay, it says officials see a structural shift in the nature of homeland security. It comes at a pivotal moment when the country is facing advanced digital attacks that are beyond traditional defense capabilities. So when you learn about smart contracts, you'll understand where I'm coming from on this. It says basically they have a strategic response to the changing digital reality. So what they do, they put in legislations to be a response to the changing digital reality. Okay. It says the establishment of this directorate is not just a technical measure, but a shift in the national security philosophy. So this Brigadier General Athiz, he goes on and adds, we're not only protecting the ministry's systems, but also contributing to the fortification of Iraqi cyberspace as a whole. He goes on and says that in his high administration position, he goes and gives it, quote, a broad executive powers and rapid decision making, and he does that as of yesterday or today. The directorate launches advanced departments, including an artificial intelligence division, digital forensics, dark web monitoring, in addition to teams specializing in security vulnerability scanning and government application evaluation. He goes on and says, we must not forget that technology is evolving faster than politics, and if we do not keep pace, we'll lose battle before it begins. So it's really highly important for them what they're doing. The legislation's in place. It's fascinating. He goes, outdated and unlicensed systems are currently being replaced with more secure ones. Okay, they got new technology, in which plans to establish the Security Operations Center and with the Ministerial Center of Data. So all of these things that they're doing, digital, shows that Iraq, remember Al-Awlaq said he was going to launch a digital dinar. And so they put legislation in place, smart contracts, cryptography. All of that is fascinating. It should be exciting, you guys. It's really good. It's information that we've never seen before. He goes on and says that raising the efficiency of personnel and preparing them to deal with global challenges. So education, they're trying to push the citizens towards understanding this new technology. And he just says the Prime Minister's office says basically to ensure integration between the country's ministries and security institutions. So again, they're using terms integration. They're bringing everybody onto the same page. He says that the Electronic Monitoring Division of the Cyber Operations Division to repel attacks, identify their past, basically says future efforts will be unified within a national digital operations room once the Security and Operations Center is fully operational. And we've seen the fiber optics communications coming into the country and already in the country. Okay. It says the dean, an educated man, the dean concluded his remarks with a clear call to the citizens and institutions, and basically is saying cybersecurity is not just a government task, but it's a shared responsibility. And they need to use strong passwords, avoiding sharing sensitive data, installing security software. So that's an educational process. Okay, and this back to the Lathies, he goes on and says that the Brigadier General, he says the electronic seal, another smart contract type situation, which provides an additional layer of security for documents by generating an encrypted digital signature. We talked about that. It's in the Gazette. Embedded in a QR code. He noted that this is a reliable tool for ensuring the authenticity of documents and protecting them from forgery. Again, there's a recent publication in the Gazette. It supports that they are geared for this. I don't know what else to say. It's the ultimate change is coming upon us, and it's on their dime, but we're watching it unfold. Al-Sudani, in quick, summit, the last, Arab summit, conveyed the true image of Iraq. And he says, appreciating the efforts of all the state institutions and agencies and all local international media outlets. So he's talking about the media again, that accompanied the preparations for the two summits and covered their events. So he's saying that the media has helped in the effort. But interestingly enough, the coordination framework congratulated Iraq. So that's big. Think about that. It's a political thing. And you have to understand who's involved in that. And that is a bag of worms, if you will. But the bottom line is the coordination framework congratulated Iraq's success in hosting the Arab Summit, confirming Iraq's pivotal role in the Arab and regional environment, and stresses the importance of following up on the summit's decisions, those 18 items, remember that? Appreciating the efforts of the government and other state agencies for their role in presenting the summit in the best and most splendid image, painting a positive tone. Keep in mind, you guys, there's an article out today that will probably grab some eyes. In the coordination framework, people are involved in it. And fascinating time frames is that some of the names that are in that are from past administrations in Iraq. And they're talking about sanctions on people specifically in Iraq. So I would say, come on in, read that article. You guys be the judge. But it is fascinating because if you guys remember the white papers back many, many years ago, some of those names are on that list that's in our room. The head of the Iraqi media network, Baghdad, has once again become a center for the Arab media. Okay. It says today, the fourth Arab Media Conference. So what it did, I didn't know that it was going to be for 2 days, but here it says today on Thursday, holding the fourth Arab Media Conference in Baghdad represents an important station in the path of Iraq's opening up to its Arab and regional surroundings, while pointing out that Baghdad has returned to the center of the Arab media. So that's collectively, and it's in the region. A return again as a center for the Arab dialogue, a platform for meeting minds and competencies in the theater that reflects the originality of the history, the depth and present of the aspirations of the future. And basically the journalists, there's about 150 of them there. It says this meeting reflects the growing confidence in the role played by the Iraqi media network as a national institution that seeks to enshrine a realistic media discourse that reflects Iraq's prosperous, forward-looking image to a better future. And basically here it says the exceptional support provided by the Prime Minister. What have they contributed to? They contributed to achieving a comprehensive qualitative leap, the success of the network in covering the recent Arab Summit as a living example of the maturity of the national media and institutions. I find that it's interesting that there's a timing of the media conference yesterday and today. There's an importance to having accurate, reliable, and credible media output. When a country makes critical moves, like Iraq may very well be doing, they need accurate and well-placed data that gives accuracy, reliability, and trust to the people. This conference is setting a stage for the media to understand how important their role is going to be for the citizens. They need to get it right. I put in Patreon a snippet that I think is important, because what is it talking about? It's talking about the importance of the media. Basically, what it said was, in my inquiry into the information, into doing a study, it says, it is critically important for professional media outlets to maintain accurate reporting when a country revalues its currency. Accuracy is fundamental to journalism and helps ensure the public is well informed and can make sound decisions, make on credible information. No different than the United States, Great Britain, Europe, anywhere in the world, Asia, they want accurate information. So when it comes to money, they want to have accurate information because it's a fundamental. It's a fundamental. So here's why accuracy is crucial. Transparency and trust. Accurate reporting builds trust with the public by providing reliable information, avoiding misinformation. Informed decision making. Okay, it says accurate reporting allows individuals and businesses to make informed decisions based on the economic realities of the currency valuation. Understanding economic impacts. It says accurate reporting helps the public understand the potential economic consequences of a currency revaluation, such as changes in import costs, export competitiveness, and overall economic stability. It says avoiding misinformation. Misinformation can have serious consequences, particularly in financial matters. Accurate reporting helps prevent the spread of false or misleading information. Professional standards. Media outlets have a responsibility to adhere to professional standards of accuracy and objectivity, which includes verifying information and citing reputable sources. Ethical reporting. Accuracy is a core of ethical principles, especially in journalism. You need to get it right and you need to do it properly. But basically, what is it for? It's for ensuring that the public is not misled in inaccurate or biased reporting. I think everybody sees that those statements hold true. It doesn't matter what country you're in. So anyway, that's what I had for you guys tonight. But wait, there's more. Yeah, I'm sorry. But look, that is really important. And that's why that media was going on. And so that, talking about, and I brought in a revaluation, it needs the media to give accurate information because it's decision making that's really important. And they need the trust from the people. And they need the media to help convey they have the ability to get trust. So here's an article. Last thing I'm going to do. Sorry for being so long-winded. Al-Hakim, it says, Iraq is experiencing unprecedented stability and its governance are witnessing a massive reconstruction campaign. We all know that that's what they're doing. And they were fascinated because of how well they've done in the last 2 years. Okay. It says that Iraq has experienced unprecedented stability on the political, social, and security and economic levels, and the governance witnessing a massive reconstruction campaign. He also considered the parliamentary elections scheduled for next November to be a watershed between instability and sustainability. Okay. It says that, sustainable stability, forgive me. It says this morning we met with a media delegation from Egypt, which included a number of opinion writers and media professionals. We discussed with them the common Arab concern, bilateral relations between the two countries, as well as the future of the media in light of developments and changes and modern means. We affirm that Iraq is experiencing unprecedented stability at the political, social, security, and economic levels, as its governments are witnessing a massive reconstruction campaign that has transformed the country into a major construction site. We also demonstrated that terrorism was a challenge that Iraq faced, and that Iraq's need for each other was confirmed, and that their strength lies in their unity and cohesion. Iraq didn't get this far if they didn't have a little battle to fight, and they have won, I believe. It says, we also highlighted the importance of the Arab delegations visiting Iraq, as they play a significant role in conveying the true picture of Iraq and the state of reconstruction and recovery, which they very well did. He says, we emphasize that holding the Arab Summit in Baghdad contributed to clarifying Iraq's image and its potential. Lastly, he goes on and says, we emphasize the need for the Arab media to keep pace with modern technological developments, artificial intelligence, smart contracts, legislation that's in place. There you go. We also noted the importance of focusing in on other causes, highlighting the injustice and tragedies of other people. Well, of course, they got to talk about it all. And that's where we are. So ultimately what you see here is that the media plays a big role, getting the proper information out, and at this critical time, it is critical that they get accurate information, especially if it's time for a revaluation of their currency. And we can see that we have the IMF, the World Bank, the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, then you have the European Bank for Reconstruction, all of them talking about reconstruction and doing business in Iraq. And you have Al-Alaq talking about digital banking. And then you also have him mentioning in the past launching a digital dinar. You have the Gazette, smart contracts, legislation, electronic signatures. We touched on that. They touched on it. You see where I'm going with this? I think it's powerful, you guys. Hey, if you like my content, please do me a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe, and please help us out if you can, in the sense of thank you again for your donations, PayPal, Zelle, and Venmo. You guys have been brilliant. Much appreciated. Keeps the content coming. We'll see you soon. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.